That's right, boys. It's a big day to yap. Yeah, so I'm here to talk about the events that we'll be getting in 2.1 of Honkai Star Rail, where we'll be able to get a four-star selector, right? It's a very impactful four-star selector, and it's huge because it's been every new four-star that's released so far, being Yukong, Lynx, Luca, Gwenhyfen, Hinya, or Hanya, however the hell you say that, Shuehi, Misha, and Gallagher, right? All of these are very interesting options, and I'm going to be covering them today in this video, right? So, to begin, I think, right, just to give a general answer, if you want a TLDR, you should pick up either Gallagher or Gwenhyfen, with the third option being Hinya, right? And I will explain going forward. So, the reason why you should pick those three in particular is because, well, the other characters are already free or not worth it for your Eidolons, all right? And that's what I'm going to talk about specifically. I'm going to explain why Gallagher is worth it if you are not something for Acheron. He's a very solid four-star sustain unit, all right? He will increase the break damage that you do while having attack down, okay? You will get pretty good use out of him as a sustain. If you don't want to get him, that's totally fine. Of course, he won't be as powerful as like a five-star sustain, being like Adventurine, for example. He'll just be a good solid four-star option for the break team or for Acheron specifically. And this is mainly concerning the fact that if you don't get him on the banner, because there is a chance to not get him, or if you want an extra Eidolon or two after you stop summoning, this will be a good pickup for you because his Eidolons will obviously boost his kit, which will therefore boost Acheron's team, right? So that will be up to your discretion whether or not you want to summon for him, but I do think it is worth getting Acheron on the selector, given you don't have him E6 yet, right? If you do get him E6, luckily from Acheron's banner, great. Your next option would be Gwenhyfen if you don't have her. Now, Gwenhyfen is already free, right? And it will be a good pick for you to grab her right now if you haven't picked up your free character from the current selector, right? Now, some of you may have picked up Asta, that's totally fine, but Gwenhyfen's a good pick for DOT teams and Acheron, which is why I'm suggesting it, right? She'll be more beneficial to you than anyone else on the list. Apart from Hinya, who is a good buffer, solid, but again, depending on your account, you probably won't need her, but she might be beneficial to you for specific teams or a triple harmony setup, right? Something like that. There's some stuff you can do with Hinya, and because she is harmony, you'll most likely get more use out of her than anyone else on the list, right? And again, her Eidolons help boost what she wants to do, like increasing her ult duration, for example. And so, again, it will be a better pickup than someone like Misha or Luca, for example, right? And I'm sure a lot of you are questioning why not Yukong, and there's a lot of reasons. It's mainly due to how restricted she is in terms of buffing and the skill point inefficiency, right? So you won't get much use out of her unless maybe you're doing like an E2 Dan Hung, or sorry, Dan Hung and Lune, right? So yeah, again, Yukong is here or there. There's a reason why many tier lists or teams like don't talk about her or use her, right? And again, I'm just gonna use Pride One as an example. There's a reason why she's down here in the bottom tier. It's that she just doesn't do what you really want for these characters. Even though her buffs on paper are really strong, it's just not practical for the teams, right? She'll probably see more use now that Sparkle exists, but I don't know too much about that. Probably not because they're both using skill points. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a thing. Like Yukong really isn't that worth it, right? And so to go over like these characters and their Eidolons, so Gallagher's a good pick. He's my number one pick for you should get. Second being Gwenhyfen, and then third being Hinya, right? To go over Gwenhyfen and her ideal Eidolons and why it's important to pick her is her Eidolon 1 giving you on skill a chance to reduce the effect res of the target. This will help with your effect hit rate thresholds on your other Nihility characters or any other character that needs to apply a debuff with a base chance, right? It will be like the MC's taunts, right? You know, Pella's ultimate, the light cone effects that have a base chance, right? They'll be helpful for all of that because this dramatically changes the amount of effect hit rate you need, right? For example, if the attack has yeah, let's just take 70 effect hit rate, for example, right? In or 70 base chance for the attack, right? And the enemy, like a boss in MOC, has a 40% hit or effect res, right? You're gonna need 109 effect hit rate for this 72% base chance to apply. a 90% chance. It's not even a guaranteed chance, right? It goes up to like I think like 127. No, it's higher than that. Let's try 135, right? Yeah, so you're gonna need like a 133, base chance, or is it 132? Yeah, like 132 base chance, or effect hit rate. Sorry, a 130 like effect hit rate to guarantee the 72% proc, right? Gwenifen's E1 is going to drop this requirement, oopsies, that's wrong, down to 30 for a boss. So this will also dramatically change your effect res requirement, or effect hit rate requirement, down from 130 to like 100, right? So even lower than that. So you can see it's a very dramatic like decrease in effect hit rate that you need to apply that effect. So it's definitely worth getting Gonifen in context of her, E1, right? As for her other Eidolons, the E4 is great because this helps with their energy gain, so you get your ult back faster, especially for Acheron team, very huge, and DOT teams in general, right? Because it will allow you to proc your damage more and, get more Fire Kiss stacks. And then the E6 is a huge one. This dramatically increases your Fire Kiss stacks by, 1. And why is it important to go up by 1? It's because this will take the damage percent from like 21 to 31%, right? In terms of, multiplication, right? Because you just got to add them together. And the damage taken multiplier is huge overall for damage, right? And again, so these numbers here are, completely wacko, right? So you can ignore this, but essentially, right? If you see this damage taken multi right here, I'm actually going to remove this from the equation just to give you an example. And let me zoom in too, right? This damage percent taken multi. Normally, without Gwenifen's buff, it's going to look like this. You're doing 45% of your true potential damage, right? If you were to add in Gwenifen's buff at E6, it's going up to 59% of your true damage, right? And before E6, it's going to be like 21, which is 54. So it's like a net 5% increase in damage. Very, very good for, Gwenifen and her teams, right? So as for the other character, Hinya, right? Her main Eidolon is her E4, right? Which is the only one that we really care about, right? This will buff her ultimate to last one more turn. And that's very good because it will allow you, if you run like Meshing Cogs or something like that, or was it Memories of the Past, it will allow you to spam have your ultimate, right? And have 100% uptime, right? Or you can do like Dance, Dance, Dance and still have, the turn advancement and all that stuff. But this is huge for ultimate uptime and overall attack buffing of your characters and general skill point efficiency, right? Because you can use basics and still keep your ultimate up at a decent level. So that will be very good. So yeah, and again, there's her speed increase at E2 and E6, which just boost your additional damage, right? So pretty solid right there. Grabbing her. And so that's why you should pick those characters. Again, I can't really look at Gallagher stuff right now because I don't know if he's going to strike me down, but those is the characters I would select. And as for everyone else, right? So we've got Luca, Lynx, and Yukong, as well as Shuehi and Misha, right? So as for Luca, there's really not much notable here. He's just a DOT character, so there's nothing really crazy. If you don't use DOT, you're not going to use him, just straight up, right? He's not good on other setups, unless maybe you do a Breaker Luca, right? Notable Eidolons are probably his E6, giving him extra, hits, right? That's really about it. Nothing too crazy about here. Nothing notable. I think he's totally usable at E0. I don't think you should grab him either, because again, the other options are way more appealing for not only Acheron, but your account in general, right? Because DOT, Gwenifen's kind of a better pick. Henya's a better pick for just buffing, and then Gallagher's a new sustained character that's pretty solid, right? As for Lynx, right, I don't think Lynx is really worth it because she is free, and as I've already stated, her Eidolons aren't anything crazy except for maybe the E4 and E6, which, again, they are nice, but I'll tell you right now, Gallagher does a similar thing on his E2 as to Lynx, right? So, yeah, probably more, if you're, like, in terms of effect res, he buffs effect res, so probably want that over what Lynx does, right? But that's really up to you. I think it's probably better off picking Gallagher over Lynx, given Lynx is already free, and Gallagher will be available, right? So that's really up to you. Yukong, again, I don't think Yukong is worth it. I know we can talk about her E6 all day, every day, about how this massively changes her rotation, but where are you using Yukong? You see, I had E6 Yukong on her very first banner she came out. I have yet to use her legitimately after like one update because I needed another buffer for one specific event, right? It wasn't even major content. So I don't think Yukong's worth it. She's just way too restrictive, and her, excuse me, and her eidolons don't actively help you enough to really matter, except for the E6, right? E2 does technically change your rotation a little bit, but realistically, you're not going to be using Yukong. I don't think it's worth it. There could be an argument to be made for like Dan users, but in all honesty, I trust me, you'll be better off picking the other characters. She's okay, but I would not pick her given the fact that Gwyneth and Hinya and Gallagher are on this banner, right? Maybe she's like a fourth option to you, but again, she's already free, and I don't think she's really worth it. I'll be honest, like she's not powerful enough to warrant it. But hey, you know what? Go ahead and get her if you want. Finally, there is Misha and Shuehi. So the thing is with these two characters is that Shuehi is very good, but I kind of feel like she needs Ruin Mei to really excel in terms of speed and break buffing. Now, that being said, you can use her obviously without Ruin Mei. You can use her in a debuff team with like Pella or Silver Wolf, right? And apply a bunch of debuffs to do a lot of damage. But she's just a 4-star DPS and nothing crazy. I do use her a lot personally because I enjoy the character. But in terms of account viability, I think you're better off picking up again one of the support characters that will help you complete content versus a 4-star DPS who pretty much won't help you and is competing in the same update for Jing Liu, basically, right? I mean, let's be honest here. Now, again, comparing a 4-star to a 5-star, that's a whole another talk. But I just don't see anything significant for Shuehi for you to summon. Her again, main eidolon here is her E6 because this changes her hit count for her follow up, right? So there's that. And then lastly, we have Misha. Misha all around isn't that good. He doesn't do enough to really warrant being used. He has a really low base chance of his ultimate, so you hardly get the debuff there. His damage is very, very mediocre, if not downright bad in most cases. And then his that's not E6, it's his E2. His E2 is also a very low base chance of applying defense down, so you'll never proc this either, right? So yeah, it's just like Misha has some stuff to him, but he's not good enough to warrant being used or even like getting, right. I think you can easily skip this and not worry about it. If you didn't get him, right, sure, you can pick him up, right, for the collection's sake, but he is not, I don't think he's worth getting, just straight up not good. So yeah, that's basically my breakdown of the 4-star selector. Again, it's not really too complicated. As I said at the beginning, Gallagher, Gwenyfin are Hinya, right? Those are my number one picks. Everyone else, not really worth it because they're either free in these two cases or they just don't provide enough for your overall account. So yeah, that's just gonna be it. Thank you for watching. See you guys next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and yeah, follow me on Twitch.